If you had to tell me to put, all of my money on a win total and give me a 3-win range, right now in this moment, I would tell you 81 to 83 wins.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
It's your boy, Evan Closky.
Back again with a new backdrop, and we appreciate it. We are bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Tampa Bay Rays.
We are here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 7th season covering the Rays daily.
So grab your favorite Rays gear and settle in as we discuss the Tampa Bay Rays facing the New York Mets. Closky on the clock, so we have a grab bag of questions to throw at Evan, and he has 60 seconds to answer each of those Rays or baseball-related questions. And then we'll close the program with baseball trivia and Name That War. But first, Ulises and Evan, Rays versus Mets, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I am colloquially referring to this as the Closky Bowl because it is his hometown Mets and his team that he has to cover on a regular basis, the Tampa Bay Rays. So I think we should hashtag it, make it a thing, trademark it. Whatever we have to do to make it an event.
That's already being developed with our people, with our interns. But before we get to all of that, we got to tell you that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Evan, before we get to the Closky Bowl, which is what people are calling it in social media.
That's what I hear.
Come on. Before we get to that, I have a very simple question I asked my buddy Kev this week. Has the recent run of success for the Rays, going 15-6 in the last 21, has that changed your outlook for this season of being a 75-win team to an 84-win team? Kevin says maybe slightly positive. I say it hasn't changed anything for me. And what about you, Evan?
No, I think that I said there'd be a 75 to 83, 84, something around, forget exactly. In that range, I still think they're going to be there. I think the recent string of success has led me to believe that they're more towards the 80, 81, 82, 83, 84 range versus the 75, 76, 77. So to that extent, yeah, certainly believe that, look, if things fall the right way, they've put themselves in a position to maybe get 85, 86 out there. But if you had to tell me to put, all of my money on a win total and give me a 3-win range, right now in this moment, I would tell you 80 to or 81 to 83 wins. That would be if I had to do that, like gun to head. Somebody told me you get a 3-win range. That's where I would put them.
That's where he would put those green Skittles, Kev. So does that answer the question, Kev? Do you agree with that?
I think it does. I thought it sufficed there. Now, more presently, the Rays facing the Mets, who, Evan, got to give kudos to your Mets and their $323 million payroll. It seems to be paying off as they have the best record in baseball. They more or less can't lose at home. They can hit, they can pitch, they can play defense. And with that, the Rays have been on a really good run. They lost their last 2 games against Boston. How do you see the Rays shoring up or faring against the New York Mets?
Yeah, first off, this is what David Stearns wanted to do, right? This is the power of money, is buying really good hitters, and then with your arms, developing, having a pitching lab, and extracting the most value out of certain guys. Griffin Canning was a nobody before he came to the Mets. Look, Senga cost a good chunk of change, so I'm going to avoid him there. Sean Manaea last year hasn't even, pitched a game this year, but last year He was a guy that they grabbed off the scrap heap, someone who was struggling. They'll see Tylor McGill, somebody who is pretty up and down this year. I mean, he's probably the equivalent of what a Shane Baz would be for the Rays, with maybe a little bit more strikeout potential. But he's somebody who's had some really great moments. And so when you look at the rotation, nothing genuinely scares you. And you know, Clay Holmes is a reliever turned starter, such as maybe Michael King was for the Padres. And so nothing like scares you on paper with their staff, but they have the pitching lab, and it's been working great. So the pitching's fantastic, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this great Rays starting pitching and kind of nabbing those quality starts, or pitching into the seventh inning, or you know, through the sixth inning, I should say, how that's going to fare against Jeff McNeil, who's red hot, Brandon Nimmo, who's red hot, Juan Soto, who's red hot. Lindor and Alonso are bona fide all-stars, and Alonso playing at an MVP level. Like, the lineup is stacked. So this is a really good test to see what the Rays are made of, because earlier in the year, they played a bunch of, you know, tough teams. You think about that Phillies series where they competed, but ultimately couldn't get the job done and got swept. So I want to see, can you hang with the big boys? Can you hang with a team that certainly has World Series capability, World Series winning capability? So that I want to see them. Are you going to get blown out of the water, or are these going to be highly competitive games? This will be a really cool watermark to see for a team that, right next to the Blue Jays, right next to the Mets, hottest in baseball.
If you had to pick one thing that you would like to see this Rays team do against the Mets this weekend, what would that be?
I would love to see this pitching staff, hold this type of lineup to 3 or less runs. I'll give them 4 or less runs. You know, that means that this, you know, lineup has to hit as well, mind you. They need to score 4, which is typically the winning formula for the Rays. They score 4 more often than not, they're going to win those games. But, you know, I'm eyeing Drew Rasmussen, right? Like, he's sort of on that all-star fringe of, like, should he be going or not? And I want to see him bring, you know, he's right now in a great stretch. Can you bring this to this sort of lineup? Taj Bradley, what are you going to do against this team, right? I want to see him perform there. So that's and then what, is Shane Baz the other start in this series?
I think so. Let me check.
I believe that's
Zack Littell, and then Pepio, didn't he pitched the night where they lost? Yeah, so it's got to be Baz.
Right.
You know, so you got Baz and Bradley in this series, 2 guys who, you know, I would argue that Baz is probably fighting to get in good favor more than Bradley. But, you know, show me something. You're in the Big Apple, and you've kind of been up and down. This is probably one of the toughest tests you'll face all year. Show me something.
Fair enough. All right. We have more to discuss with Evan, but first we have to tell the audience something very important that is next on the Locked On Rays podcast, your team every.
Let's be real, people. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's a ritual, a lifeline, the thing that gets you from half asleep to fully functioning. Maybe it's the thing that Kevin takes right before hitting record in the morning for the pod. Maybe it's the same thing I do. And you can do that too by having Trade Coffee. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S., delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour over purist, they've got a roast you will love. Again, Kevin takes every morning at least 5 to 10 minutes to make his own, and you can do that too. Again, right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial.
It's time for Closky. Closky on the clock.
Jazz hands, everybody. Jazz hands. Make it a thing. Evan, first question for you. Will Shane McClanahan throw a meaningful pitch for the Rays this season in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Unfortunately, I hope so. Certainly, he's going to go see a nerve specialist. From there, we don't really know what the diagnosis is going to be. It's a nerve. This is very much like it's not an apples to apples comparison, but it's very much like a soft tissue injury where you're at the mercy of the injury to heal in whatever time it has to heal. It's not a very common issue. So I don't really know what's going to happen with Shane. Certainly, it's tough to be optimistic at this point, but who's to say that he doesn't, that he's not sore from throwing, doesn't feel great, wants to get a look at it. Doctor takes a look at it, says, yeah, you're still good. They shut him down for a little bit and he gets rolling again. So, again, I don't know, but it's just after hearing that news, it's hard for me to mentally pencil him in for any innings. It's one of those situations where if he does come back, awesome. Mentally, I'm just going to prepare for life without him. And that's I think, how Eric Neander has to operate.
That's what exactly we decided to land on Thursday's episode. It's let's just kind of forget about the opportunity that Shane might come back. Just like if he does, that's great, but don't plan around it. For me, let's go into one that we never like to talk about. We got to talk about it though. Wander Franco. Okay, so the trial started. It's always a mess with things taking a little bit longer and all that. They said about 3 to 4 months to expect a trial to last. What's your take on this right now?
It's really tough to, I'm reading the trial notes through Twitter, through Translate. So you just hope that something's not really lost in translation. There's, they got to go through this whole process and it's going to take, months, as you mentioned. So it's an unfortunate situation. It has been since day one. And, now he's got the gun charge against him as well, where we don't know what's going to happen in that situation. So when it comes to Wander, the number one thing is wait and see. Have really no idea what's going to happen. I don't really know the judicial system down there in the DR, like a little bit here in America, and where I can ask people who know a thing about it. Don't really have that luxury with this situation. But the one thing I will say is that it seems abundantly clear Wander Franco will not play another game in a Rays uniform despite whatever happens in this case. And for many Rays fans out there, they're just hoping that the Rays can get out from this contract, considering how budget conscious Stu Sternberg is, and they don't want this hanging over the team's head. So, theoretically, let's say no charges, he can come back to the States. I don't know how Major League Baseball and the Players Association would handle all that, but I'm sure the Rays would trade Wander Franco for a bucket of balls to just get rid of that contract if somebody would take that on.
On a brighter note, good answer there, Evan. On a brighter note, all-star voting has commenced, and a lot of names have been thrown out as to who should be the Rays all-star representative or representatives. Camanero's been mentioned, Aranda's been mentioned, Rasmussen's been mentioned, Brandon Lowe's been mentioned. But Evan, if you had one single vote to basically, there's one player that deserves to be an all-star the most on this present Rays roster, who is it and why?
It has to be Jonathan Aranda. Just and I feel so vindicated, by the way, going back years, like multiple years now on Locked On Rays, talking about my love for Aranda and how sad it's been to watch him come up to the major league level and not seize those opportunities. But to watch him, he is one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. I'm not talking about one of the best first basemen. He is one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. Go break down a boatload of stats. I mean, we can rattle off many of them. He is tippy top with some of the best names in the game. So I don't think it's actually a debate. of who it should be on this team. I think it's a debate of if other people on this team should go alongside Aranda. But if there is one vote, if there is one person that I can say unequivocally gets to go to Atlanta, Jonathan Aranda is the pick. And I will be screaming on this platform and all platforms if he's not there for the All-Star game, because he has been such a pivotal piece to this lineup and a reason why our thoughts of this offense have been a little bit better than maybe we expected, especially against right-handed pitchers.
Can we also say that maybe don't sit him against lefties anymore, because the guy against lefties this season is hitting 289 with a 418 on base. Not a lot of pop, but that 751 OPS. I mean, what is the alternative?
One of those deals, I don't think you should be sitting him against lefties multiple times in a week, right? If you run into a stretch where it's lefty, typically what the Rays like to do is that now, recently, as in the past month, they'll play Brandon Lau a game, they'll sit Aranda. Then they'll play Aranda the next game, sit Brandon Lau. You use those lefties to get Aranda, Lau, Meisner, all these guys, off their feet. The Rays very rarely play anybody 162 games a year. They rarely play anybody like 150 games per year. It happens, but it's rare. So the Rays, in their philosophy, they like to give guys off days, throughout the year, not burn them out. So I'm fine if once a week against the lefty, you sit him because you want him to go off, to get him off his feet. But you can't make a habit out of it. If you face 3 lefties in a week, you sit them once, you play them the other 2 times. That's just sort of how I feel that. So it's like, I get your point. You're absolutely right. But when you think about the structure of how a week goes, how the Rays want to operate, it can't just be as simple as don't sit Aranda versus lefties. It's like, well, how many games has he played in a row? Does this make sense to sit him because you're about to play 6 righties in a row? There's a whole balancing act that Kevin Cash has to do, and that is part of the calculus. But big picture, if they were playing 7 lefties in a week, only sit him once. So to that extent,
yes, that's it. I should have worded that better. I guess what I mean to say, in the beginning of the season, there was a time
it was like an auto sit.
It was an auto sit. I think he's earned that legit of hey, only sit me when you need to rest me, or when you need to shuffle through guys. But I think the numbers just speak for themselves.
And to be fair, I think the Rays have been doing that. I think the Rays have shifted off of that. Not just with Aranda, but also with Brandon Lau. They both have been getting more starts against lefties. So I do think after the first month of the year, Kevin Cash and his consortium there said, hey, we got to play these guys a little bit more against lefties.
Agreed.
All right. Ulises, you have one more Closky on the clock, or you want me to take it?
You take it.
All right. Last question here, Evan. Well, the NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments like the Indiana Pacers beating up on the Oklahoma City Thunder. We all love that, right? Well, whether it is a game-winning shot or a breakout player or both, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel, they make it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. That also includes baseball. The Rays have plus 140 odds against the New York Mets on Friday night. So take that for what you will if you want to bet for the Rays or against the Rays. That's up to you, really. Now, if you're new to FanDuel, it is the perfect time to sign up. So go on and head over to FanDuel.com and place that first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel. They are the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Zack Littell leads the majors in home runs allowed, 21, I believe, and a vast majority of those have been the solo variety. But overall, your level of concern that he leads the majors in this unwanted category, and if so, is there a point where this is going to come back to bite him? Eventually there will be runners on base when he gives up a dinger and it causes more problems than it is right now presently.
Yeah, I mean, I would say two things are true, right? Certainly 17 out of 21 homers being solo, that doesn't seem anything sustainable. I would also argue 21 home runs in the middle of June seems a little bit high. So I think that he's been giving up a little bit more homers than usual. And also, more of those homers have been solo, which is unusual. So to answer your question, I think both of those will go in reverse directions. I think there'll be a little less homers in the future. I think more of them will be of the 2-3 run variety. Having said that, with Littell, it's kind of the same thing. I've talked about it. Certainly in the beginning of the year after he got pasted for a couple of starts, he is exactly what you look for in a fifth starting pitcher on a really good major league roster. He eats innings. He's going to keep your team in the ball game. He throws a bunch of strikes. His stuff is not like his stuff plus is nothing that's going to wow you. He is terrible against lefties this season. That's the concerning part. That's why the Boston game was so bad. Awful matchup for him. They got lefties all throughout that lineup. He stinks against lefties right now. So that's really it hasn't been much of an issue. Like last year, lefties weren't an issue. This year it is. So that's really part of the problem, is trying to solve that lefty thing. And that's really what has always concerned me, is that he doesn't have the stuff plus. The stuff against the lefties don't really work, but somehow he bangs out a quality start. So it would be nice. It would be nice if Littell in this rotation has been really the third best starting pitcher, I would say. And it's really, when you got Rasmussen, Pepio, Littell, Bradley, Boz, that's kind of how it's shaped out.
Yeah.
Ras, Pepio have done 1-2 work. Like that's exactly how an ace to a 2 is supposed to work in my eyes. Littell has performed like a legitimate 3, but I expect regression. He really should be a 5.
Right.
So Bradley is really supposed to be the 3 on this team, and Boz is supposed to be the 4. And I think both of them are underperforming a little bit. I'm more concerned about Boz than I am about Bradley. So not to get on a huge rant there, but with Boz, his slider is. Everyone knows, if you're a Rays fan, listen to Locked On Rays. His slider is not a good pitch this year. Location is off. And if the slider is not working against righties, he is a 2-pitch pitcher against righties. Now, I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but there's a reason why Boz has great numbers in the first time through the order, worse numbers the second time, even worse the third time. He is a guy that's looking like 5 innings max. He's the guy that, I know that the Rays are in this cycle where they're pushing pitchers further than they ever have before. It's crazy. But Boz is a guy who it should be Blake Snell treatment, twice through the lineup, get him out. And that's kind of what his stuff is telling me at this current point. And they're not quite doing that. So I get it. He's young. You want him to work through it. I certainly understand all that. But when you're on a team that Joe Boyle, Ian Seymour, there are guys who are ready, I think, to at least get a shot. I got to see more. So no pun intended. But that's really what. Long story short, with Littell, it's a little bit convoluted, but I still think that Littell quite possibly could be the one that's traded around deadline time to make room for a Joe Boyle, and we kind of go from there, because he still has value in this league, especially because he can eat innings, which is so important in a 162 game season.
We were talking about that with Littell and the home runs on Thursday. Maybe Detroit should be really happy about a guy like Littell with that cavernous stadium, and that maybe could help him out a little bit. And to your point, before we get to baseball trivia, Shane Boz, first through the third inning, 1.38 ERA, 2.08 ERA, 2.77. Then fourth inning on, it gets ugly in the ERA. 9.26, 7.59, 11.05, with whips over 1.7 in each one. So something to hopefully. He
doesn't have the repertoire right now. It's not deep enough. That's why if that slider doesn't come back this year, I'm not saying he has to be a reliever forever, but at some point, if Eric Neander wants to be serious about this team making the playoffs and what is the best looking team right now in 2025, he's got to be honest. Hey, Eric, how you doing? Yeah. He's got to be honest with himself and say, maybe Boz to the bullpen is not the worst idea to work in sort of a 2-inning role and have Joe Boyle slide up into that rotation.
Yeah.
So that, that's they're still working through that, and they're going to give Boz a long runway as they should. But, my point is I don't think unless you trade him, which might be another solution, unless you trade him, then to me, you got to ask yourself, is this something we revisit in the future? And can we, if we're talking about the Rays in the playoffs, Boz is a relief pitcher. He's not going to be starting.
Yeah, he goes to the bullpen.
He's the odd man out. So
and Taj only gets one start if he gets one.
Yeah, I mean, Taj right now would not be getting. Well, golly, oh man, we'll come back to that. Honestly,
I know. Let's talk about.
If you had to give me 3 pitchers, just very quickly, you had to give me 3 pitchers that would start in a wild card series where you only have 3 games, right? And let's say it goes to 3.
Yeah.
It'll be Ras.
Yes.
Pepio.
Yes.
Assuming Shane McClanahan doesn't come back. Ras, Pepio, and maybe Joe Boyle.
Oh, let's leave it at that hottie take. Oh, that's a hottie take. Oh, my God.
That's good. I'm sure the comments will be blowing up on that one. All right.
Love
well, we
I would
have
love for it to be Taj. I would love it, but he's got to at this point
prove
right
it.
now. I believe in Joe Boyle. I do. It's crazy that he's down there. I know he doesn't have a spot, but he is so ready. He is so ready.
Yeah. Well, Taj Bradley have another 15 starts or so to kind of make your point to make.
I think the hate on Bradley, by the way, the hate on Bradley is a little bit hyperbolic from fans.
Yes.
A lot of his numbers and his stuff and all this stuff, it looks really good. It's really more of he's just got to find control. He's like when he doesn't control the counts well enough, he starts really hurting himself. So if he just got ahead of hitters, Taj Bradley would be way more dominant. But that's his ebbs and flows, right? Like his stuff is great, but he falls behind, and then he's in compromised positions. So that's just
kind of the opposite of Taj, right? Like his first inning is kind of the gloom and doom for him, and then he kind of settles in.
I've kind of said for a while that I would love an opener for Taj, but whatever. They're over openers now, so
yeah, I guess we are. Yeah.
Baseball trivia, name that war. Ulises, what do you have in the arena of baseball trivia for us?
Well, boys, the Mets are going to be facing our Tampa Bay Rays, and I am here looking at a list of the top 10 career WAR Mets players in club history. I got the top 10. Boys, I'm going to need 7 of these 10 top players.
All right. Mike Piazza.
Mike Piazza is number 7 on the list with 24.6.
Are these all offensive players?
Yes.
Okay, so it's an offensive war. All right. David Wright.
He is the clubhouse leader at 49.1.
Darryl Strawberry.
He is number 2 on the list with 36.6.
Jose Reyes
is number 5 on the list with 27.9.
We got some to work with right now. I'm curious. You know what? Okay, let me not go there. Gary Carter.
Strike 1.
Okay.
How many do we have
I
so
don't know
far?
if he played enough with the Mets.
You have David Wright, you have Darryl Strawberry, you have Jose Reyes, and you have Mike Piazza.
So, by the way, Kev, Lindor and Pete Alonso are 2 names that I'm just kind of thinking about right now.
Maybe for number 10. What
Yeah,
about
that's
Edgardo Alfonso?
What I think that.
With the Venezuelan bump, number 4 on the list.
Oh, okay. I was
9.6.
right, I'll take it.
That's the one. Oh man.
You want to throw out Lindor or Alonso?
Well, Howard Johnson.
Strike 2.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Okay.
All right, guys.
What about
choke on the bat.
Wilson?
You're Chandler Simpson right now.
God, see, it's all these people. I'm a little bit shaded by that championship-winning team, and then I wonder how long they were actually with the Mets, and I'm convoluting their importance to the franchise.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 2 names, Evan. Let me know your thoughts. Mookie Wilson, Bobby Bonilla.
I I don't think Bonilla.
Okay.
And Mookie, I don't know if Mookie was like that much of an impact player.
Okay.
Like I'm thinking like Jerry Kuzman.
You're the Mets fan.
I don't know.
I repeat, before you guys answer, you have David Wright, Daryl Strawberry, Edgardo Alfonso, Jose Reyes, Mike Piazza. Got 5 of the 7 that I need, that I want.
Oh my God.
I'll give you another hint. You're missing number 3 on the list. You're missing number 6 on the list, and 8 through 10.
Carlos Beltran.
Is correct. Number 3 on the list with 31.1. Very good.
I wonder if I don't know how long Delgado's another name to throw out
What
there.
about Alfonso or Alonso? You thinking Alonso?
Alonso's been there. I mean, he's had about 40, 50 bombs a year. It's just like his position stinks. So his defense, that's what I'm worried about. Now, Lindor's probably been I think Lindor's been like a 5-WAR player every season for them. And what has he been there? Has he been there 5-6 years now? If I was to go with a pick, Kev, I would go Lindor.
Francisco Lindor.
Francisco Lindor is number 9 on the list with
we got it. All right.
24.0.
What's the rest of the list?
The rest of the list goes with number 6, Keith Hernandez. Come on,
He
Seinfeld
was
people.
I didn't know how long he was with.
Number 8, Brandon Nimmo at 24.5. I know. And number 10, you know him, you love him. He's a polar bear, Pete Alonso.
All right, so yeah, okay.
22.8.
Honestly,
Look at that.
I think I didn't have to overthink it.
No.
Nimmo surprised me though. That's a good
Nimmo
one.
was a surprising one here. Yeah.
I would have gotten Keith. I don't think that Nimmo would have not been a name I used. So
Yeah.
Very good. Evan killed that question.
Yeah, he did.
Which makes sense, being a Mets lifer.
Well,
my name that war.
Being the Closky Bowl. Come on.
Yeah. My name that war, where we take a player from the past and we have to guess that player's career Baseball Reference war. This individual played for both the Mets and the Devil Rays back in the day. Damian Easley, what is his
oh my
career
God,
war?
Damian Easley.
Oh, that's such a Kevin War name.
Wow. I'm gonna go with as right off the hip here.
Yeah.
I think Damian Easley. He probably was in the league for like 10-ish years.
Agreed.
And I'm assuming somewhere in there he has a season that I probably didn't expect. So I mean, I'm gonna go with like 12.2.
Okay.
16.3.
All right. Well, Damian Easley, let me see if I can pull up his numbers here. He played 17 years in the Bigs, 7 with Detroit, 5 with the Angels, 2 with the Marlins, 2 with the Mets, 1 with the Diamondbacks, and 1 with the then Devil Rays. A one-time All-Star and a Silver Slugger, played second base, shortstop, and third base. In his career, he had 163 homers, 253 batting average, 1,386 hits. He also stole 114 bases and had 287 doubles. I believe he was a 2020 player at one point. There was a stretch in the late 90s where he had 22, 27, and 20 homers, respectively. And then other than that, he was kind of a role player, utility player, fill-in player, got injured a lot. But regardless, his career WAR is 20.5.
Oh, I am sorry, Dame. Yeah. The years is what got me wrong because I gave him 1 WAR per season and then gave a little sprinkle on the top. So if you would have told me 17 years, I would have probably got that right on the schnoz. Damn.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I did not know he played that long.
Yeah. 1992 to 2008. All right, Evan, great stuff. We appreciate it. How, in the meantime, can people find your wonderful, amazing work?
Yeah, head to 10 Tampa Bay Plus you can watch our Ultimate Florida Sports Show. Every week we talk about everything going on in the Sunshine State, beyond, just hot topics with my friend Chris Porter from Jacksonville. You can also find our 6 and 11 o'clock sportscast on 10 Tampa Bay Plus. Also on 10tampabay.com, you can read about what the Rays are going to do with Ha-Seong Kim potentially coming back next week. I wrote a 1,500-word article about why the decision's probably not as easy as you think, and also walk you through how each decision affects the team moving forward with the pieces. So I suggest you take that. If you're listening to this, you'll love that. It's a quick read. We also talk about it on the Ultimate Florida Sports Show as well, so you can listen there in our Ultimate Rush segment. So yeah, that's the best way. And of course, as always, at Closky WTSP on the X, I will respond to 99% of you. The 1% is reserved for the jerks who take it to a level that I don't want to go to.
By the way, that rule has served me greatly. So thank you, Evan, for teaching me that. And second of all,
little mute button goes a long way.
Oh yeah, no, block them. For me. And then second thing, that link to the article will be on the description for this episode. So if you're wondering, hey, where can I get that? It's going to be on the link of the episode right here.
There we go. In the meantime, thank you for making Locked On Rays your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night, and be sure to check out Evan Closky's work. We'll see you next week.